From spur-of-the-moment provocative gestures to making an absolute hash of a pre-planned finish, Vince McMahon did his best to cover up each of these particular beats, but those in attendance and around the world had already seen enough. I'm Gareth from What Culture Wrestling, and here are 10 moments WWE did not want us to see, but we did anyway. Number 10, Mandy Rose's Mania Slip, WrestleMania 37. The fact that WrestleMania 37 was actually pulled off is a miracle in itself. Not even a bout of torrential rain could stop Vince McMahon and the gang from putting on a show in front of a live crowd for the first time in a year. That botched opening wasn't the only moment that attempted to derail the company's return to Thunderdome-less action inside of Raymond James Stadium, though. As Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke made their way to the ring for the night's tag team turmoil match for a shot at the women's tag team championships, the former unfortunately fell victim to the aforementioned weather. Slipping straight onto her candy-colored ass, Rose quickly dusted herself off and carried on. WWE then ran with the moment on Raw for an angle, before seemingly deciding to wipe the botch from history as the slip was soon cut out of the WWE Network's version of the event. Thankfully, it was immortalized in meme form long before then. Number 9, Raw wins Survivor Series 2016. On top of a main event that boasted a rematch 12 years in the making, a star-studded Team Raw versus Team SmackDown showcase pitted some of the company's brightest lights against each other. In the end, though, it was the Tuesday Night Warriors who were left celebrating a successful evening's work, as the Wyatt family's Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt got the better of Roman Reigns in the closing stages. Someone clearly hadn't given SmackDown's own commentator JBL that memo, however, as the loudmouth quickly exclaimed, Raw wins post-victory for the blue brand. It didn't take anything away from the moment, and you could even argue that the former WWE champion was referring to the fact that Raw had won overall on the night. However, WWE evidently were not happy with this apparent botched call, and quickly had JBL dub over his mistake for the WWE Network replay, despite the fact that many fans had already heard and very few cared. Number 8, a hitman gets tackled. The WWE Hall of Fame ceremony is a time to celebrate the legends of the past. It is not a time to hop over the guardrail and tackle an all-time icon midway through their speech, something one idiotic fan found out the hard way. Coming during Bret Hart's moving tribute to the late Jim Neidhart and the pair's time together as the Hart Foundation, an unannounced spectator invaded the ring and tackled the hitman to the ground. The footage was quickly edited out of the ceremony on the WWE Network, but fans watching live caught the moment the random dude got hold of the two-time Hall of Famer before the screen cut to black, proving exactly why he's the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be. Hart then dusted himself off and finished his damn speech. Number 7, John Cena acknowledges a movement. Raw 2012. Like the very man he battled against the night before at WrestleMania 28, John Cena simply doesn't play by the same rules as everyone else. Highlighting this fact was the moment the leader of the C Nation decided to play up to a certain movement that would later take the company by storm, regardless of the fact that WWE was seemingly doing everything in their power to ignore it in 2012. As Cena attempted to call out The Rock on the post-Mania edition of Monday Night Raw, another hero alongside the worst-kept secret that was a returning Brock Lesnar was at the forefront of fans' minds. Cries of yes, yes, yes rang out, with those in attendance clearly feeling aggrieved at the sight of Daniel Bryan being quickly squashed by Sheamus 24 hours earlier. Not skipping a beat, Cena would join in with these calls before telling Bryan down the lens, you owe me one. Clearly wanting to keep the focus on Cena, Rock, and Lesnar, WWE would erase this moment from their YouTube channel shortly after, but the yes movement had already begun. Number 6, Jeff Hardy taking the piss. SmackDown 2020. Essays already have and will be written on the all-out insanity that often was WWE in the Performance Center and Thunderdome eras. Yet on one rare occasion during this surreal period, it appears WWE wanted to erase a moment from history before it had even had the chance to air in certain parts of the world. The edited beat in question came during Jeff Hardy and Sheamus's, let's say, insensitive feud which focused on the former's troubles with alcohol and drug abuse. After Hardy was tasked with taking a urine test on SmackDown, it didn't take long for the charismatic enigma to use his own fluid against the Celtic Warrior. However, despite the rest of the planet seeing this segment in all its pissing glory, the West Coast was denied said joy as the feed cut to black shortly after Jeff took a whiz. Luckily, their friends on the internet were there to tell them all about it. Number 5. Paige tries to salvage a botched finish. Raw 2015. In the case of a fumbled closing stretch of a Beat the Clock challenge match on Raw back in 2015, WWE decided to cheekily alter the finish by the time SmackDown hit our screens not long after. In said match, Paige had Sasha Banks beat in the wake of hitting the Rampage on the Boss. However, it appeared the timing of Banks being dragged out of the ring by Tamina and Naomi was off. So Paige attempted to salvage the botched conclusion by bringing her opponent back into the ring to cinch in a desperate sharpshooter as the clock ran out. Not impressed by the finish, WWE completely cut out the limp submission attempt ending during the recap on the following edition of SmackDown, and had the clock run out as Banks was saved by Team Bad instead, despite us seeing something completely different on Raw. Number 4. Aleister Black completely misses the freak. NXT TakeOver Chicago 2. In all seriousness, it's rather astounding that this hasn't happened more often over the course of the now Malachi Black's in-ring career. The former NXT champion possesses one of the single most impressive finishers in the game today. However, in order to successfully execute the crowd-popping Black Mass, a certain amount of teamwork is required. In the case of his infamous exchange with Lars Sullivan at NXT TakeOver Chicago 2, said teamwork was unfortunately nowhere to be seen. Instead of catching the freak with his furious heel, Black caught nothing but air. Sullivan was quite simply on another planet at this point, leaving both men looking a tad foolish as the challenger crumbled to the floor and the NXT champion rushed for a cover. Luckily, the botched finish didn't end the contest, but WWE still made an effort to cover up the lack of synchronization by the time the match hit the WWE network, skillfully cutting the move together to make it look like it connected as usual. 2 Black Masses later, those live memories of Air Mass were dramatically overshadowed anyway. Number 3. Corey Graves craps himself on live TV, Raw 2019. Bobby Lashley and Braun Strowman took part in the best kind of Monster Mash feuds in the summer of 2019. After already battling at Super Showdown and coming to blows following an explosive tug-of-war, the stage was set for a colossal Falls Count Anywhere brawl between the two on Monday Night Raw. Said match ultimately ended with Strowman literally smashing Lashley through an LED screen that quickly erupted. Perhaps the most memorable part of all of this, though, was the sound of Corey Graves genuinely losing his mind at the destruction happening merely a few feet away, with the Raw commentator seemingly completely forgetting what era he was in and screaming out "Holy shh!" following the collision. Despite WWE airing on a 7-second delay, the company must have clearly been happy to let Graves slip a swear onto live TV. Yet they then decided said swear was too spicy for YouTube and quickly censored it. So we'll let you decide whether this was a work or a shoot, brother. Number 2. So many wardrobe malfunctions. Wardrobe malfunctions rarely come at preferred times. Yet there's suddenly realizing you've got a hole in your shorts whilst waiting in line for a cup of coffee, and then there's being abruptly mooned on national television. Unfortunately, we could honestly be here all day when it comes to highlighting those unfortunate moments WWE has been forced to cut to black after a star's rear end, nip, or any other sensitive part of their anatomy has suddenly decided to share a bit of the spotlight. And contrary to popular belief, it isn't just the uber-talented women plying their trade in the company who find themselves being quickly censored should they become embarrassingly exposed on live TV. The likes of Daniel Bryan and Sami Zayn have both found themselves trying to cover their modesty in recent times. WWE may have been able to cut around these moments when it came time to pump them onto the network, but that couldn't save these stars from unintentionally bearing it all in front of a live crowd. Number 1. Charlotte Flair flips off the returning crowd. Money in the Bank 2021. WWE were quickly reminded that they were no longer in control of the cheers.wav at Money in the Bank 2021. Perhaps the most notable reminder of this fact came in the form of the crowd attempting to hijack the Raw Women's Championship match between Charlotte Flair and Rhea Ripley, with those watching on audibly angling for an appearance from the man. A riled up challenger then made her feelings known on this matter within seconds of the match getting underway, and flipping off the returning fans. What a saint! Even though WWE did their level best to black out the blatant middle finger, the sight of the Queen flipping the bird was still witnessed by everyone watching in the Dickies Arena and on a flailing Peacock streaming service. Flair ended up getting the last laugh, however, leaving the venue with the Raw Women's Championship after a match of the night performance with the Nightmare. And that's our list. Know of any other moments WWE didn't want us to see, but we did anyway? Let us know all about them in the comment section right down below, and do not forget to like, share, and go and click on that subscribe button. I've been Gareth from What Culture Wrestling. Thank you as always for clicking on this video today, and I'm sure I'll see you very, very soon. Bye bye!